Today we're going to talk about the brand new Tier 8 Premium German Heavy Cruiser Ägir, which is the reward for the ongoing campaign in May of 2023. And, well, this video is going to be sort of unusual compared to some of my other first impressions videos for campaign ships, because we're actually going to sink pretty early, spoiler alert, and then this is going to turn into a rather epic game of throws. But before we get there, I suppose we should give you a rundown of the stats on the Ägir. To begin with, I'm using Karl von Mueller as my commander. My module selection is Aiming Systems Mod 1, Propulsion Mod, Concealment, and Main Battery Reload Mod. So all these stats are affected by those modules, and the commander, which is Karl von Mueller, using the standard sort of offensive build. Although I think Lutyens would be okay on here, or really any of the German cruiser commanders. There's a few different ways you could go about this. In any case, HP is 62,850, which is pretty robust for a cruiser. It's over the HP of some battleships at lower tiers. Then the guns are 305mm guns, which are technically battleship caliber guns, since the same size is found on the Tier 7 Odin. You can also find it on the Yoshino and the Azuma and things of that nature. The guns have a 17.8 kilometer range, they reload in 18 seconds, and the maximum AP shell damage is 10,010. The maximum HE shell damage by comparison is a lot more pitiful, 3,600, but it does have a 27% fire chance, and it's got longer range secondaries than your typical cruiser. 6.3 kilometers. They are 128mm guns, so I think that means they can penetrate not 32mm of armor, but I think 27, given, well, if they have the German correct penetration, which I believe they do. However, I don't think building into them is necessarily worth it, because you have to give up Aiming Systems Mod 1, and you have to put Hipper as one of the inspirations, but they can range out to about 9.3 kilometers when you build for them fully. And so this can be sort of a secondary cruiser if you want it to be. Like many German cruisers, it's also got the standard 6 torpedoes in 2 quad launchers on either side of the ship. They hit for 13,700 and they've got a 65 knot speed, so they're pretty good. And as you can see, this Yamato here is going to demonstrate to us the efficacy of the Ägir's guns. He's pulling out here, he's flat broadside, and he just really wants to show us the firepower of these guns, as well as the armor of the Ägir. It's a little bit like the Siegfried, actually, in the sense that both its bow and stern have overmatchable plating. However, the value is 27, so that can actually bounce 15-inch guns if you ever get lucky enough to encounter them in higher tiers. There's not too many ships with them, but of course Yamato and the rest can overmatch the bow. However, the side plating is a very, very good 90 millimeters, and it's got a turtleback slope protecting its citadel with, I think, 30 millimeter plating. However, I have shot at the Ägir with the Petropavlovsk, actually, and the turtleback did absolutely nothing to prevent me from citadeling it. Although that was the Petropavlovsk, keep that in mind. I think the turtleback will probably protect you from maybe some other cruisers. In any case, the rest of the stats: maneuverability of 33 knots base speed, rudder shift of 14 seconds, turning circle of 880, honestly not bad stats for a ship this size. And the concealment, with the concealment module and Mikawa as one of the inspirations, is 11.3 kilometers, which is also pretty good. So this is yet another sort of super heavy cruiser, but with more of a German flavor. It's sort of like if you took the Siegfried, gave it more but smaller guns, and slightly buffed the armor. That's basically how I would characterize this ship. So if you like the Siegfried and you wanted it to have more armor on the bow and stern for some reason, then maybe this is the ship for you. I don't know. You're still going to get overmatched by literally everything, so you're going to have to use that side armor to angle, and you're going to be in the, well, forgive the pun, but same boat as you are if you struggle with the Siegfried. In any case, this ship can really get into battleships' faces and do a number to them. However, you do have to be careful and you want to avoid doing what I've done here, which is pushing up way too far, getting trapped near an island, and I've got no way of escaping. I just have to deal with the ships that come near me. And the Ibuki, because I'm spotted by the, or because I was spotted by the Schlieffen sonar, was able to farm me a little bit with HE. So I don't have many hit points left. But this Yamato, like the first, is also being a kind donor of hit points to us. He's demonstrating just how powerful these Ägir guns can be when they get a broadside battleship. It is crucial, if you are playing a battleship, that you respect these guns. You do not want to allow this thing to get close to you, because not only can it citadel you with its guns, but it can, of course, also torpedo you. Here comes the Schlieffen. He ends up taking us out, so like potatoes, we do go down in about the first 6 minutes. But torpedoes are on their way toward the Schlieffen, and I think at least 2 of them are actually going to hit. So that's going to bring our damage total up to a fairly respectable 173,000 damage, I believe, before the Siegfried DCPs the Flood there. 172, yeah, about 173. So pretty good damage for 6 minutes in a heavy cruiser like this. It definitely demonstrates to you the power of this thing at close range. It can absolutely be a brawler, but I think when you're actually playing it, you don't want to go in as aggressively as I did. You want to play at more medium to long range to begin with, because these guns are pretty good. And then, when the opportunity presents itself, you can push in, and you can get some brawling done against other cruisers or battleships. You just don't want to do it when there's a lot of ships to shoot at you, because you will go down very, very quickly. And that's the same story with German battleships, too. In any case, you would think, after doing 173,000 damage and leaving the enemy team with only 3 ships left alive, we'd be in a great place to win, right? Well, no, because of this Hayate. He takes out our only destroyer, the Z-46, with a torpedo, and his torpedo launch is in the correct place to also hit this Gross Occur first, who is on almost full health, but after taking 3 Hayate torpedoes, well, he's pretty much dead. He's also on fire twice from the Schlieffen and flooding. So there he goes. Now suddenly it's 3v3, and it's cruiser, battleship, and destroyer on the enemy team versus triple battleships on ours. Not the ideal composition, actually. And what looked like a win to me is suddenly looking a lot worse. Our Montana and our Musashi are way over on this other side of the map, far away from the Schlieffen and the Conqueror, who is nearly dead. And then, of course, we have no idea where the Hayate is. But, well, the combined forces of 3 battleships are going to be unable to take out this Ibuki for a good long time. The Conqueror, the Montana, and the other thing have all missed. I know the Ibuki is a IJN cruiser. It's probably an agile build because I see him turning out there. But yeah, things are just not looking great. Conqueror is retreating from Schlieffen, who I think could have been sunk earlier, but, well, here we are. He's got 1,200 HP left, and he's going to go down, leaving only the Montana and the other battleship, whose name I cannot remember, alive, versus the Ibuki, the Schlieffen, and the Hayate. Not good news. But as we're waiting for these battleships to shoot their shots and try to carry the game for us, I suppose I'll give you my opinion on whether I think the Ägir is worth getting. And honestly, the answer to that I would say is yes. I think these campaigns, by and large, are usually good deals. I mean, you pay 2,500 doubloons. Even if you don't want the ship, then you get all the free goodies by grinding the well, not free goodies. I mean, you have to pay the Admiralty backing, but you get all the other goodies by grinding the campaign. And, well, 2,500 dubs for a tier 8 ship I think is pretty alright. Plus, I think this ship could be a lot of fun. It can be good, as I said earlier on in the game, to stay at more medium to long range. Obviously, that's not the way I've played the ship in this game, and that is why I intend to do a follow-up video at some point. But it can be a fun brawler, and brawling is amongst some of the most fun things you can do in this game. So I imagine a lot of people are probably going to like this ship. It is heavily armored, it's got good guns, it's got torpedoes, it's even got secondaries that you can play around with. So I think it's unique thus far in terms of the Tier 8 super heavy cruisers we have. And it's got, you know, that German flavor that everybody seems to love. So I would actually recommend this one. I've had quite a bit of fun in it, although I must say I do like the Petropavlovsk better in terms of cruisers because that thing is a little nuts, and we'll be covering that soon. In any case, back to our game of throws. The Musashi is pushing the smoke screen of the Hayate. He probably has no real choice, but, well, his maneuvering is not going to be enough to save him from these torpedoes. The Hayate is a Chad. He's able to take the Musashi down. I think if I'd been in that same situation, depending on if I had been spotted, I wouldn't have shot my guns when the Hayate smoked up, and instead of turning left, I would have kicked on the brakes and turned immediately right. And in that way, maybe I would have dodged those Hayate torpedoes. He wouldn't have been able to see me because he was in the smoke, and hopefully that would have given me some sort of advantage, and I would have been able to take him out. But the Musashi instead tried to duck behind the island, which maybe not a bad idea, but he did it far too late, and he's just not maneuverable or fast enough to beat those torpedoes. So that leaves the Montana as the only ship left. He's on pretty pristine full health, but he's got both a Schlieffen and the Hayate to deal with, and theoretically, it would be entirely possible for him to win. But the problem is, the Hayate is truly a Chad. You'll see that on the leaderboard at the end of this game. Schlieffen is, of course, shooting at the Montana. He's been able to regain a lot of HP since we last saw him. But the good thing about Schlieffen is that he's not especially heavily armored. He's got an overmatchable bow, and Montana's got a really, really heavy broadside hit with all those guns. So the Montana probably will be able to take out the Schlieffen. The only thing that concerns me is that he's pushing into the Schlieffen, which is not something you want to do. And also, well, we know there's a Hayate here, but we don't know exactly where it is. And the Montana is worrying me, going in sort of a straight line, not really turning so much. He's doing great damage to the Schlieffen. He's probably going to be able to take him out. And he is, I guess, wisely holding his DCP, even though he's on fire 3 times. I think he's worried about the torpedo threat and flooding. But, well, there's the torpedo threat. There's that Chad Hayate again, and that's it. We lose the game. What a terrible tragedy. But this is World of Warships Legends. In any case, I think it was a good little preview of the Ägir. I'll have to make a follow-up video because, well, I just had to show you this one because of the way it ended. In any case, I do think the Ägir is worth pursuing. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.